So let me say this to all of y'all. The one thing about fantasy is it really messes up our reality. I was sitting here and I was watching all of these people on vacation traveling around the world. And there are so many of us that sit around and wait for other people to go on trips with us, to go on vacation with us, waiting for people to love us that just don't, versus us just saying, you know what? I'm not worried about whether these people love me or not. I don't care if they don't take care of me. I don't care if they do whatever. As long as I'm healthy, I don't care. But yet, when we get sick, nobody's there. Nobody's there to help us. Why? Because the fact of the matter, people are only there when you're healthy. And this is where the vampire comes in at. A lot of people are sucking the life out of your health and wellness, and that is something that you're not understanding. Heartbreak doesn't just affect you mentally, but it messes with you physically when it comes to your heart rate. Now, being that when it comes to mental health, that's the only way you can be physically healthy. Because you notice that if you become brain dead, you're pretty much dead. Okay. So, you know how when you are out and about, you have to go to the bathroom, but you don't like going to the outdoor bathrooms because it ain't nothing like going to your own bathroom. And what happens when we do that, we end up becoming constipated. A lot of it is based upon choices that we made as a reason why we're physically unhealthy. And that is based upon actions, choices, behavior, and decisions. Every action, behavior, choice, and decision that we act and behave on determines how healthy we will be. Which is why they don't teach you critical thinking, common sense, and common judgment. Now, as a life coach, that is the one thing in counseling they don't do. All they do is sit there and listen to you, but they don't have an action plan for you, which in terms is where coaches come in. And the reason they don't like coaches is because coaches take the same thing that therapists do, counselors do, mentors do, and we actually make you act on it. So I'll give you an example. If I took Amber and I had her as a client, the first thing I'm going to say to her is for 6 months, she's not allowed to tell anybody anything about what she got going on. She has to keep everything just, even keeled. Meaning she can have normal conversations about the day. She can have normal conversations about certain things. But when it comes to her personal life, she has to keep it private. She has to do that for 30 days, starting off. Can she, for 24 hours, be able to not tell nobody her business? 24 hours. Can she be alone for 7 days without talking to anybody but herself? And instead of her going out here telling everybody her business, she sits down and writes it in a journal. Another thing that I would do with Amber is I would get her to basically get me to understand about her relationship with her mother and her relationship with her father. And then also talk about the situation with Amanda. And talk about each family member and whether or not she's close to them and why she is or why she's not. Then we're going to go into relationships, from her parents' relationships and how it trickled off to the men that she dated, the female friends that she got, employees, things of that nature. So in healing and recovery, there is no BSing, especially not with God. And I take that same point of view when it comes to my clients. You're not going to BS me. Because at the end of the day, this is about stopping the habits that you're doing and finding better solutions. It is about doing the right thing and the right thing only. It's about being able to learn to keep certain things to yourself. And it's all about protecting your inner peace and tranquility, but also your internal health. Mental health is the most important thing besides spiritual in order for you to be physically healthy. Because at the end of the day, like I said, even the choices of the foods we eat, even something simple as what we watch, what we read, what we consume, you're consuming something. It's just a difference with sex. Women are the ones that are consuming it. Men are the ones that are initiating it. Which is the reason why men, when it comes to acknowledge an assumption of something or absorbing something, they don't understand it. Whereas women, being the fact that we're being inseminated, being the fact there's a life coming out of us, we understand more about consumption than men do. That's why women's maturity is different, because we're the ones that's absorbing, whereas men are the ones that are giving, we're the ones receiving. So by receiving, you're able to be able to take in all the information, figure out what to do with it, and decide if it's even worth acting on or whether it's not. That's the thing about consumption. We consume things every day, but do we have to actually act on it is a question. Well, guess what? Your food ain't no different. So when you're eating foods that is hard to swallow and you're choking, that means you're not meant to eat it, because what it does is that whole piece of chicken that you didn't digest and that you didn't chew is now in your intestines, and it's stuck. It's no different than when it comes to steak, candy that you chew, but the small fragments go into your stomach. What happens? It's going to get stuck. Whereas bread and all of that, it can be consumed, but you might end up having sugars. But there's a way to make bread without that issue. So that's why when it comes to a cake, why it can absorb so many things is no different than your stomach. Your stomach does the same thing. It absorbs multiple different dry and wet ingredients, and that's how you get rid of it. So that's why with cakes and stuff, you're not supposed to cook them where they're dry. Because what happens is, imagine you swallowing something and then you got to drink this behind it. Why? Because it's not moist. We're not supposed to have nothing dry in our system, because everything in our system is wet besides bones. Even your cells are wet. Everything in your body is wet. So when you're eating foods that are dry, that's where that sugar comes from, because that's the only way it can digest it. So what I'm learning is, when it comes to what we consume, just like I had sausage and I ate it, but it has bones in it. Those bones are right smack dab in your stomach. So you need to understand that when they grind that meat, they also grind in bone. And that's also going in your system too. It's just like when it comes to salads and lettuce with spinach, that's why you have to grind it. That's why with spinach, you have spinach and cheese. Why do you think it's so hard for you to digest cheese? Because the way that it's made. Why do you think cheese does not melt anymore? If you was to make your own cheese, would it actually melt? Probably so, because you're making it from scratch. But this cheese that's in the grocery store, it don't melt. So again, we're not getting real fruit. We're getting lab food. We're not getting food that's grown outside. We're getting food that's in a lab. That's why I'm not mad at anybody that grows their own food. I'm not mad at anybody that's out here doing their thing. When it comes to that, I ain't mad at you. By all means, go ahead. And if I could find one of y'all, I would come to your house and ask to go and get groceries. So yeah, it's better just to grow your own food. It's better just to make your own bread. And it's better just to go out there and find a farm where you can find your own rice. Or whatever you do, just don't even get it from here. You might as well just get your stuff from overseas, because that'll be the best place to get it from. Because we have too many chemicals and too much stuff in our food that's not only causing us to be sick, but also unhealthy and overweight.